The soul is a traveler, and as such is ever collecting and dispersing. Its baggage at any given time represents its original equipment and its collections minus its disbursements. That is, the soul in its journey constantly attracts and repulses forms. By virtue of its original polarity, it shuns some things and embraces others, the sum total of its experiences and original equipment constituting the quality of the soul at any given point in its journey. It may be, and often is, so surrounded by baggage attracted en route that it is difficult to perceive its original characteristics, but these nonetheless exist. Such inherent attributes by which we recognize its degree of emanation, its state of life, and the character of its genius, in other words, its attractive and repulsive power, we may call its original signature. The doctrine of signatures, however, is not confined to entities, for species, genera, races, families, kingdoms all have group signatures. This means that the member of a group all vibrate in some particular respect to a common vibratory rate or its multiple. They are sympathetically united to, and thus said to be ruled by, the energies of some planet or zodiacal sign. In this circumstance, we find the greatest practical application of the doctrine. Yet, when we are informed that peppers, mustard, nettle, thistle, onions, and horseradish are plants ruled by the sign Aries, we are not to conclude that the individual entities of all onions, peppers, etc. had their origin in the fiery state of life, first degree of emanation. For the individual entities may have had widely varied origins in the celestial spaces. Some may have sprung from each of the several states, degrees, and families. For in its pilgrimage from mineral to man, the entity traverses the whole ascending scale of life. The soul that now occupies the regal body of man was once incarnated in each of the progressive steps, some allowance being made for different requirements, from the lowly crystal atom through the various evolutionary forms up to his now exalted state. The individual has in turn occupied species ruled by all the various families, states, and degrees of emanation. What is meant is that the species onion as a whole is ruled by and vibrates to the keynote of the fiery sign Aries. The impersonal soul's temporary need for expression has attracted it to this group of plants, and its original signature is largely obscured by the general vibratory rate of the species as a whole. The original signature is there were we but acute enough to perceive it, for undoubtedly the plants of any species possess differences and individuality. But in our relation to them, the group vibration is far more marked than their differences from one another. And in the case of plants ruled by Aries, we expect them to be hot and irritating. Turning to animals, wolves likewise are ruled by Aries, and while some are quite different from others, yet all display the martial temperament. And still lower in the evolutionary scale we find among minerals and possessing the characteristic qualities brimstone also to be ruled by Aries. Thus we find in each kingdom of life groups of entities that vibrate to the keynote of each of the zodiacal signs. To illustrate further, let us consider the sign Taurus. In the mineral kingdom of Taurus rules white coral, alabaster, all common white opaque stones, and the gem agate. In the vegetable kingdom it rules flax, larkspur, lilies, moss, spinach, myrtle, gourds, dandelion, daisies, columbine, coltsfoot, plantain, and beets. In the animal kingdom, Taurus rules those commonly known as bovine, the ox, cow, buffalo, yak, etc. Man, as a family, is ruled by Aquarius, but nations and towns have a distinct rulership. Thus, the Irish people are ruled by Taurus, as are the cities of Dublin, Leipzig, St. Louis, Palermo, Parma, Mantua, and Rhodes. In like manner, occupations, localities, physiological functions, anatomical parts, diseases, colors, tones, and various other classifications of things all have their signatures. All nature, we find, is divided into 7 distinct families, each family containing a membership on all planes and in each sphere of life. Further, the affinities of each family have a vibratory range that is not closely restricted, some members harmonizing more closely with the higher rates and some members harmonizing more closely with the lower rates of vibration within the range of the family's affinities. Thus, within the families, groups are divided both by states of life and by degree of emanation. The planetary family of Mars, for instance, has affinities for two zodiacal signs. Aries belongs to the fiery state of life, first degree of emanation, while Scorpio belongs to the watery state of life, the second degree of emanation. Observation has shown that the influence of entities and groups upon each other very largely depends upon their vibratory rates, which in turn depend upon their signatures. Thus, entities and groups belonging to the same planetary family have a vibratory quality similar to other members of the same family, although the plane occupied determines the octave from which the emanations proceed. In a similar manner, there is a like vibratory quality between things ruled by the same zodiacal sign. Things ruled by the same planetary family or by the same zodiacal sign usually harmonize well. When the ruling signs are different but the celestial state is the same, as in the case of Taurus and Virgo, there is also pronounced harmony. Between things ruled by complementary states, that is between fire and air, and between earth and water, there is a weak harmony. But between things ruled by contradictory states, between fire and water, and between air and earth, the vibrations are antagonistic and mutually destructive. These facts have an important bearing upon every phase of life. Before indicating in detail just how everything we contact influences our lives for good or ill, and just how we have the power in great measure to control the influence of things over us by intelligently selecting our environment, let us for a moment consider that what is commonly called good and evil are but names for harmony and discord. Scarcely two people give these terms the same interpretation, for they are ever considered in relation to the ambitions and desires of the person using them, or are applied to other things the importance of which varies widely in the estimation of different people. Thus, the thief, successful in the robbery, thinks this is good because it harmonizes with the desire for wealth. An honest individual calls the act evil because it is discordant to their idea of social responsibility. Again, a rain shower that is looked upon as good by agriculturists may be called evil by the fashionable lady with whose house party it interferes. In the first instance, it is harmonized with the farmer's interest. In the second, it was discordant to the house party. The rain was the same, but the thing influenced by it was different. Good and evil are terms that imply a relation to some definite entity. Insofar as an influence is harmonious to the entity, it is called good, and insofar as it is discordant to the entity, it is called evil. There is no good or evil aside from harmony and discord.